Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, it's a real pleasure to meet you again. And I said in the very beginning of the session, 70 years ago, when the Second World War stopped, everybody said, it is the last, never more that. And the Cold War began. In the 80s, when Cold War stopped with the collapse of Soviet Union, everybody said, now peace. Peace in the whole world and for a long period. And now we can observe many tension, risk all over the world. For everybody, the risk is increasing, especially with terrorism, who can kill everywhere in the world, everybody at any moment. Our world is more dangerous than ever. Why? First, old conflicts stay active. Israel-Palestine, for example. Korea, North and South Korea. Africa, with many interethnic tensions. New ones appear. Middle East, as you say, Mr. Ambassador, but also in the whole Europe, Ukraine, and Syria and Africa. And new risks are increasing. New risks because in relation with demographic development and stagnation of resources in fields of water, in field of alimentation or energy, and so on. And third, political and religious tensions are increasing too in different countries of the Arab Springs. Religion with extremism developing itself in other states, Libya, Liberia, Nigeria, Yemen, and so on. Why? Why now? Probably because during the Cold War, each of the parts, United States and Soviet Union, were maintaining peace in their own field of influence. And they were cautioned when there were some conflict in their border to maintain them in what military say low-intensity conflicts. No one wanted to create a general conflict and maybe a nuclear one. So if some conflict existed, it must be local and low-intensity one. Today nobody plays the role of United States or Soviet Union. So you have many, many conflicts. And you have also the new causes of conflicts. Today, United Nations itself seems to be inefficient to have a real and concrete role in the solution of conflict. Why? I think that United Nations are able to intervene on local or basic conflicts when there is no real strategic interest for the major countries as US, Russia, China, or some other one. And I consider that in United Nations we have some very good specialists to imagine and propose solutions And they can do it in the different field for health or for alimentation. But when there is a conflict, it's very difficult for us. They can intervene to maintain peace only if the parties accept the solution. That is very important. United Nations cannot really intervene in a conflict to say to one part, stop. And they have no real influence if one of the parts don't agree the peacekeeping mission. I think you have to know that, and it's very important. And secondly, they have no real defense action because there are many soldiers, but often they are not trained. Often it's very difficult for them to really intervene concretely. And often when I was in charge of defense ministry, I had to send French troops with the agreement of United Nations, but to protect the United Nations soldiers, the peacekeeping soldiers, because they were not able to face the enemy. They were not able to stop the violence between the different parties. And that is the reason why United Nations have small credibility. Because, you know, if you are not able to realize your decision, you cannot be heard. And especially if, like in Israel-Palestine conflict, during years and years, you are not able to make that one part accept the decision. That's why today we have a real crisis of authority and credibility for United Nations. So I think many things were said by the other intervenants, so I don't speak longer on that. But I think that it's a reason why the cultural diplomacy could have a role in complement of United Nations. Why? Because the principle of the action of United Nations and political and cultural diplomacy are not the same. One is a problem of authority, of credibility. The other one is a problem, is an action for a best knowledge of the different parties, for creating trust between the enemy and to allow to have a real dialogue between them. And I think that in cultural diplomacy, Francophonie could be a part of that, very important. Why? Because today, 274 million of persons are speaking French. I don't know how many who are here to be able to speak French or to understand French. But yeah, there are some, I know that. But I think that 274 billion of inhabitants in the planet can really play a role. 60% of them are old, have no 30 years, are not 30 years older. So I think it's also a part important when you are facing the future of the world and the future of the risk. And overall, I think that in Francophonie, there is a tradition of respect of the different culture, of respect the culture of the other. And sometimes, and I saw it as Minister of Defense, but also as Minister of Foreign Affairs, sometimes you have some great countries. We cannot accept the differences between the culture. And the things are true in their own culture. And they try to say the reference would be the compression, would be our own culture. So I think maybe, and that's why I accept the proposal of Mark when he offered me to be Vice President for Francophonie. I think that we have to discuss all together, and maybe to see what you can give to the other and what you can have from the others. Because I think that today, if we want to solve some of the problems, some of the risks of the future that I say, we have to create the condition of a real dialogue. I saw, as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, that the main problem is often that the part have no trust in the other. For example, in Palestine and Israel, I had many discussions with the two parts, with Netanyahu, with Mahmoud Abbas, with the ministers of each part. And just now I'm convinced they are very near for a solution, for a concrete solution, even if they cannot say publicly that. But the real problem is the trust, because each of them told me, yes, maybe we can have a convention, maybe we can agree on solution, but we are not sure that it will be respected in the future. And that is a problem of trust. And often when I was in Africa, maybe before becoming a politician, also when I was discussing in different ethnies, the problem was not a material one. It was a problem of trust. It was a problem of comprehension of the culture of the other. So you choose becoming students in the ICD to understand the differences of the other, to be the actor of trust in the future. I don't know what will be your career. I don't know if you will become diplomat or if you become attorney of I don't know. But in what you will do, it's a necessity to try to understand the other. Even if you are not in the same way, even if you have divergent interests. But to be efficient, you have to understand how he's thinking and why he has such position. And then you can try to find a solution. I think that's what you are learning here. And I think that's why you can do many things to have for everybody a future more easier, a future of peace. Thank you. Thank you for what you will be doing.